Good.
We ready? Should be good.
Okay, just finished our 13th practice today, and we've had a half scrimmage today. We had a full scrimmage Saturday. We had half practice, half scrimmage today, and then we'll have our last full scrimmage coming up this coming Saturday. Defense dominated pretty much scrimmage on Saturday, and today was really the offense. The offense really got the best of the defense, so it's good to see the offense respond, and I know it's kind of one-to-one in scrimmage situations leading into Saturday's final scrimmage. Also pleased with our kickers today. They were 3 for 3 in kind of game-winning situations. So overall, pleased with what I saw today. We're in the final week of fall camp, and so we really talked about how are we going to finish this week with the right intensity in each practice and in each drill. And then, we'll have school starts this coming Monday, and so we'll kind of start getting into BYU prep starting next Monday and have 2 weeks to get ready for them. But, going back to Saturday, after taking time to grade that scrimmage on Saturday, Coach Trickett and I got together and just kind of looked at the body of work between our quarterbacks and decided that we had enough information to make a good decision. And so after discussing with the staff on Sunday, myself and Coach Trickett met with both Timmy and Gerry individually Sunday night and informed both of them of our decision to name Gerry our starting quarterback for this 2022 season. Quite honestly, Gary's just been outstanding since the day that he got here. And, whatever we thought we were getting whenever we brought him over for Baylor, we really have gotten that plus more. And, I think probably one of the early signs that we had was, throughout the summer. Y'all have heard me talk a lot about our grit scores. And so what is that? That's a daily grade throughout 8 weeks. There's 40 workouts there in 8 weeks, and each player gets a daily grade on their work ethic, on their ability to strain, and really on their leadership ability. And Gerry, being here his first 8 weeks, he ended up being ranked number 2 out of 114 players on the team. That was a really good early sign. And then also I can remember one of our early practices, somewhere around practice 2, practice 3, just a little bit sloppy early on with guys kind of getting going. And Gerry called the whole team up and really used that as a leadership moment and told everybody this isn't how we practice. If we're going to turn this thing around, we're going to have to practice a lot better than this. And the best part about it, everybody listened. And they nodded their head. They got a breakdown, and we ended up having one of the best practices. And I looked over at one of our coaches and I said, in 2.5 years, I've never seen that right there. And he was being real. That wasn't him just trying to get up there and kind of to make a statement, for the coaches or anything. That was just who he was. And so, I think, for us, we really graded everything. There were about 10 different things that we really graded the quarterbacks on because I wanted to make sure both guys had an equal opportunity. The reps with the first group, I think Gerry ended up with 121, and I think Timmy was somewhere around 117. So it was about as equal as you can get. Gerry ended up completing through the first 10 practices, including the scrimmage. Gerry was 80% completions throughout those 10 days, and the next quarterback was 67%. So it was really a 13% difference in completion percentage. We also look at decision-making, and Gerry was just really in the 90 percentile in decision-making. And again, this is a guy that did not go through spring ball with us in this offense. And, I think, I've heard it said before that, your team and players kind of know it before your coaches know it, right? And I felt like that was really the situation hearing from a lot of our players. After about the first week of camp, they were really, kind of telling me, hey, Gary's our guy. And I really told him, hey, I want to wait, like I said, and we're going to go for 10 practices and get through the scrimmage. And but it became obvious to all of us. Timmy has had a really good summer, had a good fall camp. He really has improved. He's worked hard to improve. And but the difference is, Gerry is just at a very high level. Gary's 3 years older. Gary's 10-2 as a starter in the Big 12. With wins over BYU, Oklahoma, Texas, Ole Miss, and the Sugar Bowl. I mean, that's just experience that you can't make up. And that was part of our reason for bringing him in, was that experience and knowledge. And, part of my job as a head coach is to make the tough decisions. And when I make decisions, I have to, number one, what's best for the team? And then number two, what's best for the player? And It was crystal clear to our coaching staff. I asked our staff on Sunday, and by the raise of hands, and it was 100% unanimous that Gerry's our guy. I didn't do it with the team because I really felt that I already kind of had the pulse on that and seen how they've responded here these last 2 days. I know they have, but Timmy did a great job while he was here. He's a first-class young man. He's going to be very successful because I think he has a big future ahead of him, and I wish him the best of luck. Obviously, we'd love for him to stay, but in this day and age, it's I don't know many situations where you can look at a guy that was a starter 1 year and the next year a transfer came in, beat him out, and that previous starter stayed. That's just, unfortunately, that's not the environment that we're in. And regardless of who won the job, I knew there probably would be one of those guys leaving. And that was another reason that I wanted to do this now. So we would have 3 weeks to kind of get over that, and really for the Trey Marsh to now get all the reps with the twos for the next 3 weeks, rather than, you make that decision on Thursday of game week, and then one of them leaves, you're right there, then your backup quarterback hadn't really taken snaps. But I'm confident that we've made the best decision for this year's team to win this year. And that's really the way that you look at it. You can't think about, what's best for 2 or 3 years from now. I mean, in this environment, it's about who gives us the best chance to win this year, and that's really how that decision was made. So we're moving forward. I thought the offense, like I said, they had their best day that we've had in fall camp, and I think Gerry's energy and leadership is contagious. And then also, Trey Marsh is a guy that we haven't really talked about a lot during fall camp because of the competition between the other two. But he's been very steady and really solid. He threw the ball well Saturday and threw the ball well again today. And then also Byron Brown, I'm really pleased with his improvement from when he got here in January. He's really kind of solidified himself as the number 3 guy right now. And so we're moving forward that way. Some unfortunate news. Unfortunately, we had an injury Saturday in the scrimmage. Kelly Joyner broke a small bone in his foot, and we'll be having surgery this week, and he'll be out for at least 6 weeks. We're hoping to maybe get him back somewhere around time for conference play. And I really hate that for Kelly because, man, he has looked excellent. He's had an incredible summer and incredible fall camp, was doing really, really well. But, went down, and thankfully it's only a 6 to 7 week recovery. So we know we'll be excited to get him back. But that's probably the deepest position on our team is the running back room. We really feel with Kelly that we had 5 or 6 guys that we could win with. And so to be that next group, I think a guy like Mikey Dukes really stepping up and getting in the mix this fall camp really helps us be able to help ourselves with that situation. So we had no injuries that I know of today in this scrimmage. So happy about that. All right, with that, I'll open it up for any questions.
Jeff, what did you kind of learn about how to handle the quarterback battles over the years? Because this is different than how you've done it in the past, and just the way things are, it's different than when you were doing it
Yeah.
Clemson with Deshaun and Kelly Bryant.
Yeah, I think what I've learned is no matter how fair you try to be and how you try to do everything above board. I was the one that told Brian not to put out the release on the Davey O'Brien Award because I didn't think that was fair to Timmy being our returning starter for us to be pumping the transfer out there for that award. So what I've learned is it doesn't matter how nice or how fair you are. At the end of the day, when you're in those situations, the guy that doesn't get the job is probably leaving. And so, probably better off going ahead and doing it now. I kind of go back to, and I thought about this a little bit, go back to 2017, 2018 at Clemson. 2017, Kelly Bryant, led us on a 12-2 season, right? We lost in the first round of the playoffs. This, tall, blonde-headed guy comes in, Trevor Lawrence. But Kelly, was a senior, very loved by his teammates and really done well as a junior. And so we were going to kind of let it go throughout the season, not make an early decision and hope that we could kind of, keep both of those guys there. And then finally, in the 4th game at Georgia Tech, Trevor went in and made an incredible throw. And so after that game, we decided to go ahead and name Trevor the starter game 5. And Kelly decided to leave at that point, right? And, sat out that year and went to Missouri and had a good year the next year. And Trevor led us to a national championship that season. So at the end of the day, especially with the quarterbacks, especially when you've got a guy that was a starter, I think when you got guys competing that are coming in, those guys are going to be a little bit more patient. But a guy that was a starter and then maybe the other guy comes in and wins the job, he's going to leave. And there's nothing. I've thought through it. I I knew whenever we allowed Gerry to come on an official visit, I had to be okay with the fact that if he comes here and wins the job, that Timmy's probably going to leave before the season. So I had to think about that before I ever brought him here on an official visit. And I actually called Timmy and his dad on that Friday before I brought Gerry on an official visit. So I tried to do everything just above board the right way. But at the end of the day, that position, there's only one ball, and Timmy's definitely a very good quarterback, and I know he'll have a good career, but I think it was just in the best interest of this team to win this year with Gerry's leadership, his experience, his talent, and that's why we kind of made that decision.
It's still a hard decision to make, though, because
Yeah.
we've raved about Timmy's talents
Yeah.
since we brought him here, and obviously
Yeah.
we've seen it. To know that this might be best for now, even if it's
Yeah.
not best for
It's a hard decision, and some of the best advice that I got from Coach Sweeney, he said, when you know there's a hard decision to be made and you're not willing to make that decision, then somebody else deserves to sit in your seat. And that was just really, these are tough. I love Timmy, and he knows that, the way that we've treated him. I love that young man. He's got a bright future. We love Kelly Bryant. We went 12-2 with Kelly Bryant, went to the playoffs. And his senior year, Trevor Lawrence was just better. And so there's 119 other players in that room, and you owe it to the team to do what you think is best for that team. And yeah, it's a tough decision when you're dealing with young men and big decisions like that. And that's not the fun part of the job, but that's also why you're in that seat, because the leadership trusts you that you're going to make those decisions, and those aren't the only ones, right? There's these things come along, and some of behind the scenes, but this was a very obviously one out in the open, and I knew it was going to be difficult, but I know that we made the best decision for the information that we had. I feel very confident that our players see that. Another thing I'll say about Gerry is the first night of fall camp, before the very first practice, something we've done for years on both sides of the ball, we do an all-in vote. And so the offense is in one room, the defense is in another room, and Coach Trickett, one of the offensive players, passed out a sheet of paper, and he had every offensive player list the top 3 leaders in this room. Who are the guys you listen to? Who are the guys you look up to? Who are the guys that are going to lead us to a successful season this year? List your top 3. Don't write your name on it. They turn it all in. All right? And that was before the very first practice, and Gerry was in the top 3. He had 27 votes. All right? We didn't have another quarterback with 1 vote. And so that was before the first practice. When I tell you that our team kind of knows, that gives you the confidence as well as a coach that even though it's a tough decision, those guys know. They're around there all the time, and they see things. And it was actually Brad Cecil, Meach Harris, and Gerry Bohanon were the top 3 before the very first practice.
Jeff, is the idea of dealing with adversity, waiting for your time, being better, antiquated? We're not going to see this anymore? You lose a battle and you're out? Is that how it works?
Yeah. I think that the rules have kind of allowed that a little bit. As a old school soul a little bit in college football growing up since I was little, right? That was, what Coach Morris said. Coach Morris here with us said, man, I'm sure glad that when Deshaun came in and he didn't win the starting job, we named Cole Stout the starter Deshaun's freshman year. I'm glad Deshaun didn't leave and go to Auburn or something. It turned out pretty good for him. But the rules have changed so much with the transfer portal. It's just, transfer portal giveth and the transfer portal taketh away, right? So we can't complain about the portal if we're bringing a guy like Gerry Bohanon in. You're going to also lose some. But, Timmy was the first player since I've been here in 2.5 years that left that I really wanted to stay and I felt like had an important role for our team. But that's going to happen. Everybody across the country, loses. Georgia won the national championship, right? They had several guys they wanted that left to go other places. So I think you just accept that it's part of it. And the other thing that you have to think about, right, you can sit here and think about, man, well, I know Gerry has 1 or 2 years, and what's going to happen after that? Well, the reality is what's going to happen after that, you're going to see how your guys have developed, and then you go look around the country, and you find the best quarterback if you need another quarterback. The market's always open. So this thing of, like, I got to have this guy here for the next 4 years, we found out about Gerry in 3 days, and he was here about 2 weeks later, and so that's how transient I think it is a little bit, but you better make sure you have at least one. We're really fortunate that Trey Marsh came out of the portal in December and came back because we could have been in a different situation than we are now that was probably one of the lessons you learn in that is don't let those threes or fours leave, because you're going to need them. If you have a really good contested race between 1 and 2, you're going to lose one of those. That other guy needs to step up. So really fortunate that Trey's here and doing well.
If there's any benefit to this, might it be the fact that if both had stayed, and Gerry doesn't play too well, excuse me, and you put Timmy in, and he plays really well, now you start to get back into a quarterback conversation again.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't even kind of go there in my mind, because it's just so hard to get there. And honestly, what I'm looking for one quarterback to be our quarterback and to go lead our team, and short of injury, he's our quarterback, right? I mean, go back to my experience. Trevor Lawrence, Deshaun Watson, they were the quarterback, and you knew it. I mean, you can name the good teams in college football, and you can name who their quarterback is. You get in this deal, and you kind of going back and forth, kind of been there, done that. And that was probably part of why I made the decision now, because we need to, this is not just the starter for BYU, this is the starter for our season. And so I needed to go ahead and kind of declare that, and I wanted to do it before other schools, other programs started class and all that, so whoever didn't win had a chance to go somewhere else and move on. So that was also part of the process.
Coach, as Paul Harvey would say, the rest of the story with Bryant and Lawrence, you waited 4 games.
Right.
You named Lawrence the starter, Bryant decided to leave. He gets dinged up in the Syracuse game. You're bringing in a guy
Yeah.
who would be Trey Marsh.
You get a point right there. That's a point right there. Yeah, that's exactly right. Bryce came in, and Chase Bryce came in against Syracuse and led us on like a 94-yard touchdown drive. A couple fourth down, 4th and 6. We ran a Washington route, T. Higgins, right there, and Syracuse was going to beat us. And I believe that was the national championship season. Yeah, that was that same season. That might have been the week or 2 weeks right after Kelly had left. One week right after that. So, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I have to remind Trey of that and give him a little history lesson there. But yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, you're seeing it all over the country right now. When you have more quarterbacks leaving and transferring and going, and they haven't, and then whoever wins the job, and then there's one more, group that kind of leaves. So I just need to make sure, you got the one that you feel gives you the best chance to win, this season.
And with Trey, that's the best move he did make. He's in the portal, all of a sudden he's
Right.
number 2.
Yeah.
How do you complimented his play on the field so far in preseason camp? How is he handling everything he can?
So Trey, you guys have heard me talk really well about him. He hasn't played well in some of his opportunities that he's gotten in a couple games. But if you were to go out and watch his practice, he's one of the best throwers on our team. And, and sometimes it takes guys a little bit longer, but he's been working at it. And, I feel confident, especially with him having 3 weeks to kind of get ready. I feel confident with him if his number is called. But I think he's matured, kind of from the process of where he was, coming in just as a young guy, a little bit immature, just kind of a big arm to understand. And, when you go through those experiences, those are kind of scars that you get, right? And that kind of stays with you and kind of motivates you to take a little bit more attention in that meeting and figuring out where your hots are and how to handle the blitzes and all that whenever you get hit in the back and ball comes up and they go score on you on national TV. So I think he's learned from a lot of that. And, my big message to him is, be ready when your number's called. Right? You can look at Baylor's season last year with Gerry, right? And Gerry goes down. The next guy comes in and wins the conference championship game. So I think those guys definitely have to be ready, and I'm confident that Trey will.
There's a lot of things to address here, and, the quarterback competition, your guy from last year has left, all the emotions, but you're moving on, and you've got a guy with Gary's experience and talent and leadership to lead you into the season. How do you feel about having a guy like that do that?
Feel great. I mean, we do a safe seat on each night for the first 15 minutes of our team meeting during fall camp. It's really an opportunity for the players to get to know each other. So last night was Gary's night to come up and just kind of talk to the team a little bit. I kind of asked him some questions. I mean, it was like a coach talking to a team, and every guy just sitting there listening to every word that he said. And he was just so genuine and so real. I mean, that feeling in that room, there wasn't a lot of people really worried about, kind of our future. I think they're confident in Gerry and confident and us moving forward. But again, just to kind of reiterate, that's why I wanted to do this now. And it's kind of a 24-hour, 48-hour story, and now let's move on. I didn't want that to be 48 hours before BYU and somebody doesn't show up for the bus to go to the game, and now we got drama in pregame and all that stuff. Let's go ahead and, these are tough things, right? You got to address them head on, do it the right way, handle it the right way, and then let's move forward. And the guys move forward maybe quicker than the coaches. That's what, Coach Morris told me walking off the field yesterday. Said, hey man, just you get your head up. The players, they're already over it. They're good. They're moving on. Sometimes as coaches, just when you invest a lot and, spend a lot of time with a young man, it a little bit more personal on that part. But, our guys young guys move on, and especially when they know that it's the right decision and all that, you get good buy-in. And they also know the situation in college athletics with the transfer portal. I don't think all of them blame, Timmy for what he's doing either. They wish him the best of luck, but we're moving forward.
Do you overall see a better sense of stability in your quarterback room from, let's say at the start of fall camp versus when you came in back in 20? Because, obviously it's been a bumpy road to get where we are.
Yeah, I think when you think of your quarterback room, you always start with, do I have a real guy as our starter? And yes, I feel like we've got a real guy as our starter. Obviously, he's one of 3 quarterbacks in our league to be a Davey O'Brien, preseason list or whatever that means. He's a real guy. And, I don't listen to the radio during the season, but, early in the morning there's not much on, and late at night when I go home there's not much on, so I listen to maybe XM, radio, ESPNU, and I've heard Gary's name talked about probably 10 times over the last 2 weeks, just because he's been kind of in that national scene, and whenever they're talking about Baylor and all those things and some of the games last year. So I feel very confident that we've got a real guy, and not just a quarterback throwing the ball, but a leader. Again, to be a good team, you've got to have that quarterback that can drive that car and really move that offense. And our O-line, we got good leadership there. They've been trying, but it's kind of hard to lead from the front bumper, right? You got to have that driver that's in that seat that's talking to everybody, that's truly leading. And that was part of our decision when we decided to recruit Gerry, is we just felt like we had a lot of good pieces, but we just really needed that driver that could really drive that car for us and get us to where we wanted to go.
Did you see the offense expanded a little bit more with Gerry at quarterback?
Yeah, well, I think when you say expanding, we hadn't seen Coach Trickett's first play yet, right? So, but yes, Gerry, as most 4th or 5th year player, I'm not sure exactly where he is in that. I think this is his 5th year, 3-1-1, going into his 5th year. So he's had 4 years, but yeah, he has a very high football IQ. And on his official visit, he actually brought this up last night when he was talking to the team. His official visit here, instead of going out downtown with the players, him and Coach Trickett went in the video room till about 1 a.m. Watching on an official visit. So he's just a guy that just loves ball. He wants to know every little detail. And when you have a guy that's like, again, the best quarterbacks are coaches on the field, right? You see it in the NFL all the time, right? They're letting some of those guys call plays and do things. And that's what it feels like when you have a 4th, 5th year guy out there with his experience. So it does allow you to expand a little bit. And really, in this day and age, it allows the RPOs, it's having that guy that can make good decisions in RPOs. Usually RPO, it's either really good here and bad here, or good here and bad here. It's usually not good either way. And so having a guy that can make quick decisions, understands the different defensive looks. Defense have been going against RPOs for a while now, so they have different things they do. So you can give him a little bit more just because of, his experience level and seeing a lot of different defenses. You go through that list of defenses he played last year, that's a pretty big group right there. So yeah, I think we're able to do a little bit more with him. But I think also at the same time, beginning of the season, you want to start here and then kind of build your catalog as the season goes.
Coach, give us that one player that when fall camp started on offense and defense, it wasn't even a blip on the radar, but now is in the conversation for some playing time.
Yep. I'll give you 2. One would be a Joe, a receiver. This spring coming in, trying to learn, even though it was a similar offense, terminology was different. He struggled a little bit, was not as consistent. And he had 2 nice touchdowns today. He's really come on and doing very well. So I would give you that. And then The other name I'd mention, this guy's played a lot, but I think he took a lot of, had a lot of adversity in his first 2 years here. It's probably the MVP of our defense right now is Matt Hill. You know, he's moved to a different position there where Smoke was at that nickel Sam, and he's probably been our MVP of the defense, you know, through the first 11 days, and I think it's a really good position for him. He does really well around the ball, and so we're expecting big things out of him.
Did not see Clyde Pinder today with the defensive line.
Yeah, so Clyde is not with us. He had some academic things that he's working through, and so he's not with us right now.
Okay. Do you expect him to be back at any point, or is it still kind of to be determined?
I think it's probably to be determined, yeah, but it's out of our control. It's just really between him and academics on campus, and we'll know more here as it gets closer to school starting.
I asked you about one of your former players, Nolan Turner.
Yeah.
Kind of overlooked in high school.
Yeah.
A lot of success at Clemson, now trying to get the Bucs roster.
Yeah, that was awesome. We took our team to the Bucs game Saturday night, and Nolan was out there playing a bunch of plays. That was awesome to see because I do remember whenever we signed Nolan, you know, Coach Sweeney played with Nolan's dad at Alabama, and really watched Nolan grow up. And I think we were Clemson was the only Power 5 offer that Nolan had coming out of high school. That doesn't normally happen at Clemson. Maybe the only other one was beat Hunter Renfro. That turned out pretty good. Hunter Renfro actually walked on. He didn't even have a scholarship. But Nolan was a guy, whenever he came in, again, a lot of the Clemson fans are kind of questioning, you know, why he's there. But, you know, Coach Sweeney believed in him and saw a lot out of him in high school. And he was a guy that came in as just a student of the game. I mean, really, you know, the NFL, obviously you've got kind of that first tier of just incredible athletes that are just giants and just kind of phenoms, right? But then really your core of your teams are guys that are just, they're pros and how they go about their business on the field, off the field, the way that they study, the way that they train. You know, to me, I would kind of put him in that category that I said Hunter Renfro. When he walks in the room, he's not going to impress anybody, but he gets out on the field and he gets the job done. So I'm really pulling for Nolan and definitely would not be surprised to see him be able to make it. It's exciting.
Well, how's Matos continuing to develop?
Yeah.
Obviously, his first camp.
Yeah, Matos. I learned a little bit more about Matos. We had the safe seat with him. That was pretty interesting. He was like a rising baseball star in the Dominican Republic, and we kind of were not sure if he was telling the truth up there, if he was just kind of telling some fibs, but no, he really was. He's a great baseball player early on, and then he moved over to basketball, and then now he's moving transition to football. He's probably the best looking player on the team as far as, you know, he's going to be the guy we let off the bus first for sure, but he's still learning a lot about him. I mean, he looks like the NFL guys right now, but he's got a lot to learn. I mean, he's just never played football before. So he's got a lot to learn. But what I'll say about him is it's important to him. And again, I keep going back to that grit score thing because that's a consistency and work ethic. He was in top 10 in grit score. Coming over to football, never being here, going through football workouts, because he just has a desire and a drive that he wants to be great. But there's also just a lot to learn. So he's getting better. But I would say with his size and ability and his want to, it's going to come. But it's probably going to take a little longer because literally, I mean, he never played one high school snap. You know, in the scrimmage Saturday is the first time he ever played in a scrimmage situation. But, you know, the good news is, you know, he's 20-something years old and he's got 4 years of eligibility left. So he's got a long time. But we put him inside, working him at D-tackle just because he's, you know, whatever it is, 6'6" or 6'7" maybe, and, you know, 285, 290 pounds. He'll be 300 pounds pretty quick after we start traveling and eating in the hotels on Fridays and Saturdays. And so I'm excited about him in the future, but it's still a little bit early for him. He's learning you can't just stand up and, you know, try to look over the O-line in the backfield. They'll run you backwards. So he's kind of learning through a little bit of that. But what I can say about him is, man, his desire to do it, that's really what you look for. And guys that come over from basketball or coming from another sport, it's, you know, do they really want to do it or do they just think they want to do it? And he really wants to do it. So it's going to take a little while, but whenever it clicks for him, we're going to be excited that we have him.
What kind of impact can he make on special teams?
Yeah, he's really good at blocking field goals because of his length, and he's done a good job with that. And then also with his length, we've had him working a little bit on field goal protection, just being able to help out as a wing and kind of use those long arms. And so I think that's probably where he could have an early impact on special teams. And then as it goes, hopefully we can get him some game experience and see how he does. Great. I love Jimmy. Jimmy's doing awesome. I think it was the last press conference we were talking about kind of those guys that come in as freshmen and the light kind of comes on and just a maturity level and all that. He's a hard worker. He's had an outstanding fall camp. And I really expect Jimmy and Weaver to be two of the top receivers in our league before the season's over.
What does Gerry Bohanon do best?
What does he do best? I would say lead the team. That's what I'd say. Just his presence in the room and people follow. Like I said, that early practice we had where didn't quite have that energy right. And I really called the team up because I wanted them to take a knee and I was going to kind of address what I saw and this isn't how we're going to start it. And he just stepped right in front. And I was like, okay, this will be a good time. And he kind of told the guys, hey, this isn't the standard. This isn't how you do it. This isn't how we're going to do it. And I said, I agree. Broke down and we went. But the biggest thing that I saw in that is the guys listened to him. And he'd only been here, a couple weeks in the summer. And they listened to him and they responded. And leadership like that's hard. I mean, we talk a lot about leadership, right? And you can see the highlights of the locker room speeches by Tim Tebow. And that's very rare these days for guys to be able to step up in front of their teammates and really lay it on the line and for the guys to listen to them. And, even at Clemson, we had a lot of great players, but sometimes we had a lot of quiet leaders, just kind of lead by example, and they can still be okay. But you need that guy when it's not going well. They can get everybody together and look them in the eye, very similar to what Tom Brady does with the Bucs, and everybody listens and they respond. And that's what I'd say that Gerry does best.
How much of a problem do you think it's been, Jeff? Because your quarterback situation has not only been unsettled, but there haven't been any guys in the spot, even when Timmy came in, that have played and won at a high level.
Yep.
And how much difference is that going to make? That this is a guy that maybe in the past the team just had some doubts.
Yeah.
And now apparently they
No,
don't.
I think that's something you can ask Meach here in a minute. I think that's part of it too. I think it's maybe one of those God wink moments. My first team meeting in January, whenever I was kind of using a couple teams as an example of how you can change from one season to the next with a great off season and attitude, mindset. And I used Baylor as that example. And I remember they were the first team I put up there, and the guys were just kind of stunned right there. They went from 2-7 to 12-2. They went from picked second to last in the conference like we are, and then they were the conference champs, right? And then I didn't have any idea that Gerry wasn't going to be their quarterback. I didn't even really keep up with any of that. And then, 5 months later, the guy that led them on that season, just how it worked, found his way over here. So immediately when you walk in the room and that you know that quarterback's been out there in some big-time battles and beaten BYU and Texas and Oklahoma and Ole Miss, and, then that brings some credibility and guys want to listen to that. And so there's no doubt. I think that becomes contagious. And we're not just bringing that to an offense that, doesn't really have the pieces. I mean, we've done a lot of really good things that you could probably say overall in 2 years offensively, just kind of an inconsistent quarterback play has probably kept us from some wins. And so that was part of my decision of if we can find a guy that can bring consistency there, then I owe it to these guys to do that. All right. Thank y'all. Appreciate it.
All on the other day, so we got senior guard Demetrius Harris, one of our super seniors on the offensive line. Gerry Bohanon will be shooting shortly after. Good question for me.
How y'all doing?
Good. H, what was the team's reaction to Gerry being named starting quarterback?
I think the team was happy with it. I feel like we felt like Gerry proved himself throughout the camp, since he got here, summer workouts, grit score. It was a tight battle too. It just wasn't like Gerry ran away with it. It was it was a tough decision, but I think that the decision that was best for the team. So I think everybody's happy with the decision.
When did you kind of know, all right, looks like Bohannon would be the guy?
I honestly didn't know until Coach Scott told us yesterday. But like I said, both of them made great plays throughout camp, both of them worked hard. I mean, Gary pushed Timmy, Timmy pushed Gary. And then like, we was waiting, just like everybody else was waiting. When we found out, I mean, not shortly after, like everybody else found out. So, yeah.
Obviously, a decision like that is pretty seismic, and then, you know, to have, you know, the news come out that Timmy's in a portal, you know, shortly after, you know, compounds onto that. Just
Right.
what's everyone's emotions about losing a teammate, a guy who was a starter last year and led the team last year?
I mean, it's tough. It's tough losing anybody, especially quarterback. But I mean, the toughest thing about quarterback is only one. You know, offensive line is 5 of them. For receivers, D linemen, they kind of rotate. But quarterback, it's only one guy. I mean, we wish Timmy was still on the team. It kind of stung us. But you know, he felt like he did what was best for him and his future. And we wish him nothing but the best. But you know, the train got to keep moving. So.
What is it about Gary that, as Coach said, when he talks, everybody listens? What qualities does he have that allows him to do that?
It's just that leadership. Like we joke about it, like we say, like he got like the moxie. It's just like obviously he's been at like the highest level doing it at a big time stage. So he brings all that experience over here, and then I mean just like he blended in like first day with the guys. He works hard. He stays extra. I mean, y'all heard the stories. I mean, like, first week, he's staying here like 10, 11, 12 o'clock, like, trying to learn the play. 2 weeks, he knew the playbook. So when we out there running 7-on-7, when we out there doing, like, just player ran stuff, and you got this, you got that, hey, no, you got, it's like, man, like, this dude really wants it. And so when you see that, it's like, man, like, I can get behind this guy, and we can do something special this year.
Is it the thing where, as a player, you respect him so much, you want to play well so you don't disappoint him? That kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, offensive line, we protect anybody, whoever's back there anyway. But when you see somebody busting his tail, trying to make us better, it just makes you go like just a little bit harder, just a little bit more. Because it's like, man, I can't let him down. I can't let the guys next to me down. I can't let the defense down. So it's just playing that complimentary ball, like that brotherhood, just best is the standard, just everybody playing for each other, like all in, like we all in. Everybody's all the way bought in. Everybody's competing at a high level, and we try to make everybody better.
When you look at your offensive line, speaking of experience, I think you're either the top school or one of the top schools.
To the top.
You talk about starts. That's got to be a nice feeling.
Definitely. I mean, we just want to do something special. I mean, we all could have left. We could have, you know, probably tried for the league. We probably could have transferred anywhere, but we was like, man, we want to do something special here. Just uncommon. I mean, anybody, man, y'all won 2 games last year. Y'all need to go. It's like, nah, because we knew what we had, and it's not like a lot of the offensive line has changed. It's been the same line for the past, 4 or 5 years. So just like, man, we're gonna stick it out one more guy. Like I'm talking to Brown, I'm talking to Donald, like, yeah, like, let's run it back, So especially with them guys, then you got Trey and Dustin Hall, Mike Lofton, Darrell Betty, bringing in those guys as well, just teaching those guys the way. So when we leave next year, the train keep rolling.
How hard was it to get used to playing at that lightning speed they want to play at?
Say that one more time.
How hard is it to play at that speed where you just want to be snapping the ball every?
Man, it's tough. I mean, Coach AJ, Coach Artis, our strength and conditioning coach, the gassers that we ran, just the conditioning, just like the start and stop, just practicing, just Coach Trickett implement his new offense. It's tough. It's definitely not easy. But we know what we want at the end of the year, and we know that to get something that you want, you have to do something that you haven't done before. And so, we're like I said, we're all bought in, and like we're prepared for it.
Coach mentioned how defense had been dominated and you guys won the practice today.
Yeah.
A, is that good news? I know that's nothing perfect, but to have that challenge from the defense,
Yeah.
were you guys motivated to, sort of?
I mean, yeah. I mean, our defense whooped us on Saturday. They out the frame, and we was like, man, we know how good we are. It's still, I mean, we're almost done with camp, about 2.5 weeks into BYU, but it was like, man, we're better than this. So we came out today. First drive, I mean, we had took like a little 10-yard hitch to the house, and then like that just kind of sparked it, and we just kept rolling all day. But I mean, the defense with Coach Shoup and what he brings something new every day. It's never the same thing. So that's going to prepare us for the BYUs, the Floridas, the Louisville, the Cincinnati, like, because he's bringing something new every day. It's never the same look. We just got the good end of the stick today. That's all.
And then one of the things you brought up was the grit ranking with Gerry, number 2.
Yeah.
But Brad Cecil,
Yeah.
number 1. Has something gotten into him? I mean, he knows, he's been around, he knows he's going to play, but it looks like he's even more motivated.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, and he coming off the shoulder surgery too last year. So like we just motivated. It's like I said, to get something that you want, you have to do something that you haven't done before. And so even though we're 5th-year seniors, like, man, I'm just going cruise to, like, nah, we pedal to the floor. You know, we hitting the gas. We like the RPMs are going up. Once they see the seniors and like the leaders pushing, even though it's their last year, it's like, man, I remember when I was a freshman and I saw these guys pushing, like, man, when I'm a senior, I'm gonna push like them so the young guys can see it. And that's basically like how you start building a program. It's like nobody is just taking, it ain't no cruise control. Everybody's pushing, even though we know Brad about to start, but he's still pushing. I know I'm about to start. You know, Gerry just got named QB1, and he's still pushing. We still pushing the envelope. So just building the culture.
You have talent on offense at the specialty positions. Your offensive line is experienced. Having a guy with Gerry's experience to pull it all together, what's that going to mean for your offense?
I mean, it's great just having somebody that's already proven and played at the highest level. I mean, conference championship, 12-2 last year, Sugar Bowl. And the thing about Gerry, like people talk about last year, I mean, he rode the bench for 3 years at Baylor. And like, I know he still has something to prove. And he got his opportunity last year, and he proved that. And so now he still plays with a chip on his shoulder. He still works out with a chip on his shoulder. Even though all the success that he had last year at Baylor, he's like, man, I'm about to bring that over here because you know we haven't been hot lately. So just bringing that experience, what he knows, and just kind of like mixing that in with Coach Scott's culture, it's like it's going to be special this year for sure.
Obviously, you've hinted at it a little bit. You know, this is your last ride. This is it. There's more COVID years,
Right.
more redshirt years. Has it hit you yet?
I try not to think about it, but I mean, I think I first started thinking about it like in January, like, man, I got 12 more months, and then you look up, it's March, it's like, man, I got like 9 more months, and then it's summer, it's like 6, and then it's August, like September, like, man, it's almost done. So I mean, I just try to live in the moment. I just try not to think about the future. I mean, plan for the future. You know, expect for the worst. I mean, what is it? Prepare for the worst. Y'all know what I'm trying to say. But yeah, I just try to live in the moment, man, and just try to enjoy it because once it's gone, it's gone. And so just every day, just trying to cherish this moment with these guys and just trying to leave USF in a better place than what I found it.
You've been here, like you just said, 5 years. So you've done a lot of practices.
Yeah.
What was it about that one day where Gerry spoke in front of the team? What was that vibe like for you in particular? And then what was the change for after?
So my freshman year was Quentin Flowers last year. So I was here with like Flowers, Valdez, and you know, Dejan Sinai, you know, all those guys. I redshirted, you know, I didn't play, and I remember like some of the times where practice got a little, you know, and Quentin was just, hey, like, and Quentin didn't talk a lot. I mean, he played big, but he didn't talk a lot. But like when Quentin talked, it's like everybody listened, and it was. Okay, man, Quentin said it, like, we got to go. And like I said, Gerry just got here in the summer, and when Coach had brought it up, about a week ago, and he was about to say, like, Coach Scott was about to say something, and Gerry stood up, he like, nah, we got to get this thing right. And like I said, it just goes to a testament to his leadership. I mean, he came in 2 months ago, and he's already leading the team. So, I mean, some of that comes with the quarterback position, but everybody see how hard he worked. Everybody see him in the training room. Everybody sees him doing extra, leading the young guys like Byram and Morris. Just like, you have to respect it. And for us just to buy into it, like I said, he missed right in. It wasn't like, no, he kind of like the new guy. First day, he missed right in. And like I said, when you see somebody working so hard and pushing it, and you know where he's trying to go, and you know where he's trying to take us, it's like we can get behind that.
And then, do you guys talk about before even Gerry was named a starter? Do y'all talk about how Baylor was 2-7, not he, but as a team 2-7 and 12-2? Do y'all see that vision? Like, y'all talk about it often, or what is that?
It was it's great that you brought that up. So just today at the scrimmage, I was talking to Gerry, and I was like, Gerry, because we do the thing like called the safe seat, and so he go up there and Coach Scott, asked him a few questions, and I mean Coach Scott kind of like touched on it before he left, and like the year before he was, Baylor was 2 wins, and then like they won 12 games, and fall camp, Gerry had said that the first scrimmage was kind of defense had won, kind of similar to Saturday, how the defense, got a nut tail. And then Gerry was named QB1 at Baylor, and he said the next practice, it was like their best practice ever. And then you look at today's practice, correlation don't prove causation, but I mean, it was kind of just like, man, it's crazy how, it kind of aligned. This is our best offensive practice, our best scrimmage that we've had probably since 2022. And it's crazy kind of like how it just aligned. I mean, I don't know if you believe in the stars and all that, but it's crazy how it kind of happened. So, I mean, we had that exact conversation an hour ago.
What do you call that, the thing you were just talking about?
The star, the constellation.
Safe seat?
Safe seat, yeah, safe seat.
Safe seat?
Yeah, safe seat, yes.
That means that they bring you to the.
Yeah, so basically safe seat is, because like we have a lot of new players, everybody don't know everybody.
Some guy goes in the front of the room.
Yeah, some guy kind of like me, and then Coach Scott will be right here, and talk to him. So like name, where you from, biggest adversity, because I mean new guys coming in, new people leaving, everybody don't know it. It's 100 and however many people, and it's kind of hard to know everybody like on a personal level. So we do that safety. Sometimes it gets vulnerable, sometimes it get deep, personal, but it's like, if I know my teammate, I know what might make him tick. I know what to say, what not to say. Sometimes somebody don't need to get cussed out for motivation. Sometimes like, hey man, like let's go. Like just little stuff like that. Just getting to know your teammates.
Are questions asked that are different kind of questions like you wouldn't normally hear?
I mean, for the most part, it's about the same. I mean, like Matos went up there the other day. I mean, he has a very unique story. I mean, coming from Dominican Republic and just his whole transition from baseball to basketball to now playing football. So, I mean, those are kind of like the one-offs. I mean, you got like a Joe, like he's from Canada, came down here. So it can go, it's really like no set boundary. It's just, like an array of questions. Yeah.
It could go in a crazy direction.
It could. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it does, but yeah.
With Gerry being named the starting quarterback right about 3 weeks before the BYU game.
Right.
Is this the first time in your 5 years as an active player you knew who the starting quarterback was going to be 2 to 3 weeks before week 1?
Trying to think.
Unless Blake back in 2018.
I said maybe Blake back then, but I mean even then it was still kind of.
Right.
But yeah, I mean we're solid with Gerry. I mean I would say yes to answer your question. Yes to answer your question. I mean like we know that Gerry, week 1 against BYU. I mean knock on wood, Barry like in the injury like he's going to go out there with the first team offense.
That's got to be very meaningful to the offense, perhaps a load off your collective shoulders. You know this far out, and that's what Jeff had mentioned that you don't want to go in the BYU week wondering, okay, is it whatever.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of tough. Cause like I said, it's only one quarterback. They play. Their play styles are similar. I mean, one's right-handed, one's left-handed. One's a little bit more experienced. I mean, like they're both good players, but it's like, man, who is it going to be today? Who is it? For offensive line, it really don't matter. We got to block. No matter. I mean, it could be Joe Blow back there. We still got to block. But just knowing that Gerry's back there, and he's going to lead our team, it's like all right, we know 11 back there. We good.
That's got to help the team in the room too.
Definitely. I mean, definitely like, hey, Gerry's the guy, and there's no confusion. There's no rumbling. Like, man, I think Gerry's the guy.
Is there anything that changes when you you have a right-hander instead of a left-hander?
Me personally, I don't think so. Maybe for the tackles a little bit. Interior is about the same. I mean, I had played center in the spring a little bit. A lot. I played center the whole spring with Brad being out. But I don't think it's nothing different. The protections are still the same. The calls are still. Now maybe for the quarterback, his rollouts and maybe his reads are a little bit different. But for the offensive line, I mean, run left is run left, run right is run right. It don't matter who's back there. So good. I appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Starting quarterback, Gerry Bohanon, the question for Gerry.
Well, I'll ask the question everybody wants to know. This team turns it around, goes to a bowl game, gets it, it's gonna point to you. You can handle that.
Yes, sir. I feel like I'm built for it. I've always been a guy that embraced the good and the bad. I mean, adversity, it all comes together, and I mean, at the end of the day, whether we lose the game, win the game, the finger's pointed at me, it starts with me. So if I can be the same guy each and every day, come in with my energy and bring my best game each and every day, I feel like the guys gonna follow, the guys gonna bring their best game. So I'm excited for whatever comes.
What's been the key from the day you walked in to now? Guys said you learned the playbook quick, you showed your work ethic, you became a leader. What's been the key to establishing that in really kind of a short amount of time for you being here?
Honestly, for me, before I even got in the portal and I announced, well, after I got in the portal and I announced that I was coming here, it was about me just praying about it and just making sure I'm the best version of myself every day, being consistent. As long as I'm the same person every day, which everything you said, that's me as a person anyways. I'm a guy that loves the game. I'm going to do everything possible to make sure I'm the best player I can be, the best person I can be. And each and every room I walk into, I try to touch everybody. I try to be that energy. I try to be that when guys not having the best days, you can look at me and you can feel my presence. So for me, that's really about all it's been for me, honestly.
When it comes in, it's an RPO. Take us through your pre-snap read. What are you looking at before the ball's even snapped?
On the RPO, it just depends on the RPO. Could be a slot RPO or outside wide receiver RPO. Got to make sure there's no pressure because everybody knows when there's pressure on the RPO, you got to read the blitzer. Could be rotation, depends on who it is. It could be an apex defender or overhang defender. Could be, if it's to the boundary, it could be a corner cat. And that safety to get off the hash, you could have a big window right there. So it just depends on the RPO.
Gerry, what have the emotions of the last 24 or 48 hours been like? You're named the starter, Timmy leaves, you're moving forward. How have you weathered that, and where are you guys, boom, you're full speed ahead moving forward now?
I mean, everybody know we 3 weeks out. We can't blink. That's been the thing. I'm just not blinking. I mean, for me, I became a starter, but for me, I've always prepared as a starter every day. I always want to feel like a starter every day. I want to be a starter every day. So for me, nothing has changed. I'm just continuing to be me. Be a little bit more vocal, make sure I'm even more energetic, more locked in, things like that. But honestly, just continue to be myself.
What was your reaction when Jeff told you he started?
I looked at him, I smiled. I'm always smiling, I smiled. And the first thing I said, thank you. I really appreciate it. Just for the opportunity, it's a blessing. A lot of guys want to be in this position as a starter quarterback for top tier program. For me, I was just honestly just excited and blessed. Like, it's kind of held my emotions in, but I know that when I got home, I called my parents. They were excited about it, so it was like a accomplishment for me, a big one. So,
What was that call like?
a lot of smiles, a lot of excitement. We prayed. And really, that's it. It was just all excitement, honestly.
Obviously now, Travis will get the number 2 job and Byron probably behind him. Just what have you seen out of those 2 guys in particular and how they've improved?
I can honestly say from the summertime when I got here, those 2 guys, when we lift together, we work out together, those guys have been on it each and every day. Those guys, we push each other to prepare every day, no matter, it's not a QB1, a QB2, a QB3. It's about developing each other, pushing each other, and make sure we're all ready because everybody knows you will snap away from playing. So just looking at those guys each and every day, going out there with them, I'm just excited for the growth that they're having, the growth that I'm having, and the way they're pushing me and the way I'm pushing them. I love those guys. they all know that, and we're gonna continue to get better as a group.
So when anybody comes into a new situation or a new job or whatever, that you have to feel their way in, but the guys were saying there's been many occasions where you've spoken to the team and you haven't been here that long, and they listen to you and you speak. Do you just have a confidence in you that allows you to do that sort of thing?
I would say that's what it is. I'm very confident. I know what I do every day. I know my abilities. I know I know the confidence I have in myself and my game. I mean, if you look at me every day, you like, that's how it's supposed to be done. Like, I want to be, when people look at me, that's what I want to be. So it's like, once you see a guy that's doing it consistently every day, he's outdoing what the standard is, he's outdoing what's mandatory, he's just doing extra, I feel like you have to have respect for that guy. Like, for me, I don't care what position you play, whether you're a kicker or my top receiver, whatever it is, my top O-line, whatever it is. Like, once you see a guy that's a walk-on, once you see a guy he's really working, he earns that right, he has that respect. So I'm even the guy, I speak up a lot, but I sit up and listen. Somebody tell me something, like, I got one of the quarterbacks, Travis, told me I walked off the field the other day. I went back and ran off the field. Just things like that, like just being a standard and setting and leading by example.
Coach Aranda had a lot of good things to say about you even after the transfer. It sounded like the whole, process, he was very transparent with you guys with kind of how things ended at Baylor. Almost gave you, one writer said, gave you nearly like a 4 months head start to kind of figure out your next plans. What can you say about Coach Aranda and just kind of the ending of your time at Baylor and transitioning here from maybe the Baylor perspective of it all?
I would just say it was exactly how that said. That's how it went. They gave me a good heads up of everything to let me be able to make a decision. Much respect for the program. Much respect for Coach Aranda. I mean, he's an amazing coach. I mean, love him to death. He helped me out in a lot of situations. Full support. I'm pretty sure I still support them. They still support me. This is the game. This is the game we play, so it is what it is at this point.
He said, the quote that stood out to me was, he said, there is no Baylor in what happened last year without Gerry Bohanon. Just, how much does that, that sentiment just how does it make you feel?
It makes me feel good. Makes me feel appreciated. I know last year, I had been a backup for a while, stepping into that role was just becoming to myself, really opening myself up to the team, opening myself up to the guys, and just trying to be the best me every day. Like I said, trying to do the same thing here. Just to hear that, just to know that, that's exciting. To hear that from a head coach. Coach Aranda is a special guy, special coach. Everybody know that. So much respect for him and that program, and much respect for that.
So your Baylor team a couple years ago won 2 games and then turned it into 12 in the championship. I know you've looked at probably last year here, won 2 games. The talent that's here, gonna turn around, happen again.
Oh yeah, that's
what you've already experienced.
Yeah, that's what we're looking forward to. But it first starts off at practice, 1% every day. We get 1% better every day. That'll add up. 365 days in a year. That's a lot of percent. And so I would say, honestly, just for us, just coming out, putting our best foot forward every day. You don't want to live life and look too far ahead. For me, it's literally one play at a time, one day at a time. And if we can live right there and be where our feet are, I feel like everything's going to shake out in place. We can't, everybody, we from Florida, got these rival games, playing UCF, Florida, but you got to focus each and every day at a time. If you don't get better today, you can't expect to be on point and play your best game 3 weeks from now, 4 weeks from now, 5 weeks from now. So you just got to stack days, stack days, stack days. And when you stack those days, it all shake out how you want it to shake out.
What do you think about what you got here? Mangum, Jimmy Horn, Weaver, the line, just when you look at your offense, what you plugged into here, what do you got?
When I look at my offense, I see like an instant cool down, because it's like there's so much firepower. Like the wide receiver room loaded, O-line room loaded, the running backs room loaded. I mean, for me, it's just get the ball into their hands. It's not making this crazy play. Get them the ball, they're gonna make the play for me. I mean, as a quarterback, that's all you can ask for. Like they make my job so much easier. Those guys motivate each other, motivate me, and I mean, you see it, them some competitive guys out there. I mean, they love the game of football. They're gonna play the game of football to the best of their abilities, and that's all you can ask for. I mean, I'm excited about it. I'm excited every day going out there with them. Like, we're excited as a team. We're excited as a unit, and so that's all I say. Just exciting about everything that comes with the offense.
Seems like you were like fire under everyone, going out to practice and everything, and being a leader
that like fire me up, I would say my mom first off, and I got a son. I got a 3-year-old son named Caden. That's what makes me go every day. Just being able to look at him every day. What kind of day I have, always come home to that same face, that same smiling face. For me, I have to do it for him. And my mom, because my mom, before I had him, my mom saw her do a lot of things and never complained. My mom works her tail off to this day, been working since she was like 13. I mean, how can I complain? I wake up every day like I work my mom today. Because I know my mom getting up 4:30 in the morning to make sure everything, she's a principal, make sure everything's in line with school. Called her last night, she was just not leaving the schoolhouse, it was 9:30. Like, Mom, what you doing? You need to get home, get you some rest. You don't need to be driving that late on the road. So for me, her, and then my son, that makes me go every day.
Gerry, what has impressed you the most about your teammates in the program so far?
What has impressed me the most, I would say, honestly, well, I saw the talent on film, but the talent level is very, 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 very high. Like, these guys can play anywhere. And I've saw a lot, these guys can play anywhere. And then just how everybody welcomes each other and loves each other. I would say, like, it really feels like a brotherhood. Like, everybody here, we're close. We hang out with each other during the times we can. I mean, we outside of football, we kicking it. I remember my first weekend here. My first week, as soon as I got here on like a Wednesday or Thursday. That weekend, I moved from Texas. I'm from Arkansas. A couple guys invited me out to get on the boat. Never been on the water. And I'm catching a shark, hammerhead shark. I mean, just that, I knew once that happened, I picked the right place. I felt very welcome. I felt at home, and that was a great feeling for me, honestly. Oh, we rented it. We rented the boat. We rented the boat. A couple guys here know how to drive boats and things like that. So.
Who'd you go out with?
It was Bino, Jimmy Horn, Zay, Vincent, Yates. Who else? It was a lot of us. It was quite a bit of us. I feel like I'm missing somebody though. But it was a couple more.
Where'd you go? You're not sure?
I don't even know. I just know it's probably like 50 minutes away.
Okay.
I mean, it wasn't in Orlando though, but
You caught a shark?
I ain't catch it. Jimmy did.
Jimmy.
Did. I touched it, but I ain't catch it. Did I?
Yeah.
I stayed back. I mean, I fished, but we was out there. Last time I went kind of out there in the water fishing like that, I kind of got sick, so I was trying to avoid that, to be honest with you.
So it seems like from that point on, things have only just continued to get better and better in relationships
That's-
with their teammates.
That's it. It's getting better and better every day, and that's all you can ask for. I mean, I'm appreciative for that. But I can't ask for anything else but that, and I try to make sure that I'm doing what I can to help develop those guys on and off the field, be whatever kind of leader and whatever kind of influence I could be in anyone's life.
Are you the one to, I know you said you get 1% better every day. Are you the one to set season goals or team goals? Like, what's your goals this year?
I write all my goals down. Honestly, I wanna have 40 total touchdowns this year, at least 2,000 passing yards, and at least 1,000 yards rushing are my goals, and to win the conference as a team. I want a lot of guys on the team to be All-Americans after the season. A lot of guys put up a lot of yards. That's pretty much it.
That'd be a good year.
A great year. They succeeded. Let's do better than that.
Last time you were talking about how you and Timmy, like, were, instead of a competition, you guys were pushing each other to be better and get better. What was the interaction like between you guys after finding out the news of you starting and then entering portal?
Honestly, it was late at night when we found out, just because we had meetings and everything. Kind of talked to both of us individually. After meetings that night broke, I didn't get to see him after, but there was no bad blood or anything. I'm pretty sure. I mean, everybody knows how the way this game works, how the position works. Something happens. I mean, I was just in that position. I mean, it's a tough decision, but sometimes you have to think about what's best for yourself, what's best for your career. So, fully supporting that guy. I'm pretty sure he's fully supporting us in this team.
You played for UIU.
I did.
How much of an advantage do you think you have now being the only one in this program who's played and going and playing opening day?
I would say that's the advantage, just because I know some of those players, how they look, their scheme. Pretty sure they're gonna come up with some different things, but for the most part, I've studied them quite a bit. Just looking forward to playing them, to be honest with you. I'm excited about playing those guys. I think it's an advantage, and I'm pretty sure they gotta admit they're gonna do something different. I mean, I'm in a new offense, a different offense, schematically is different. So I would say those guys, it's gonna be something different about it. So it's just gonna have to prepare like I haven't played them, honestly.
Have you heard from Blake Shappen?
Blake Shapen. I talked to him a minute ago. It's been a while. I talked to him a minute ago. It was a minute ago. He congratulated me and everything. Once I announced that I was going to come here and everything, but that was the last time we talked.
Since you've been announced, because you
No.
announced yesterday.
No, nothing since.
Thank you, Gary.
No problem.
Thank you very much.
No problem.